Name of the nth largest value. In other words, show me the three highest scores. We can use the large function. We can use index. Use index match. We can use XLOOKUP. What are we doing? Finding the highest scores. 100. We have this name. We have the second highest score and the third. How do we do that? Here's a detailed explanation. Over here on the right is the anatomy. The narrative, long. It's lengthy. Why? Because there's some tools here and the combinations might be foreign. So I'm going to incorporate, and I'm going to show you how to incorporate the various combinations. You can see they come up with the same result. You can also put a timeline as to when the different tools were incorporated. Clearly, XLOOKUP is the newest, and index match was the first. Depending on what version of Excel you're working with, I don't know, maybe you can't incorporate XLOOKUP. I'm working on Excel 2021, but if you're working on an older version of Excel, maybe you're forced to use index match. I'll explain. Brad Williams, Excel Prime. Name of the nth largest value. Sorry, but this spreadsheet is a mess. I can't help it. There's a lot of information here, and I tried to squeeze it all in. Be patient here, and I'll try to explain it all. Here we have name of the nth largest value. What we're going to do, we're going to use a number of different ways to calculate this, and none represent count if unless there's a tie. You may ask, why are we doing this? Well, because I'm introducing you to a whole host of different functions within Excel. We're following pretty much the same pattern of name, group, score, but we want to identify the nth largest group. We want to find who has the highest score. Really, that's all we're asking. Who has the second highest score and who has the third highest score? Without getting overwhelmed by all of this data. The reason we have this layout is I just want to show you how to come up with this information. We're going to use an index match and count if there's a tie. In other words, if 99 is scored twice, what do we do about it? Then we have an XLOOKUP. We can use XLOOKUP to do the same thing. Because this is getting so messy, we can either eliminate this altogether, the notes here, or I can eliminate this. I'm going to flip a coin, and I'm going to get rid of this XLOOKUP. Formula text refers to this data here, and then formula text relates to the last row here. In order to set this up, what's the highest score? To do that, we're going to use the large function. What's the large function? We have an array, and we're going to go over here to M, where it says large. And if you ever get lost and you want to try to figure out what we're trying to do, here's the layout, the structure of the different functions. I try to go over these each time, but sometimes I'm in a hurry and I overlook it. Fall back on here. Index returns a value based on its columns and row. We also have match, searches for a value in a list and returns its position. Large returns the kth largest value. In other words, you can determine whatever number you want. Count if, count cells that meet a criteria. We're familiar with count if. Large, we want to know the largest number. We're going to use score. We're going to use the range score, D5 to D15. What's the highest score? We use score, and then we want number 5. That's the K here. We have the second highest score and the third highest score. What are we trying to do? We want name of the largest value. Here's name, and we're asking ourselves, well, how do we get the largest value? Well, we know the largest number is 100. How do we get the name? Index match is perfect for this. Why? Because as I pointed out before, what does match do? It's going to find the 100 score. And then once it finds the 100 score, you're going to determine what row you want. The match will define the row, and then you're going to pick the column. And the way we do that, we select, if we go over here to the index function, If you remember, we have the array. Notice name 240 right here, highlighted in blue. We have the row number, which we know is the score, which is match. That's what match is going to do. It's going to find the row. And then it's going to default, if we don't list the column, it's going to default to 0. The name function is just going to say, hey, what row is the highest score? Name is going to say row 3. And because we don't have a explicit column, it'll default to 1. The index function is going to look up the name by row. So in the first case, it's saying we're going to highlight, remember we have the name, and this is column B, and then we have the row, which is the red. And basically the name is going to go match what row? It says number 3, because name is the criteria. What does it say? It says within name, what row are we looking at? And it says row 3. We go to number 2 and we hit same criteria. It's going to go row number, hit F9. It'll say row 8. Remember, we count. Row 1 starts at 5. So count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there's Diane, and she has a score of 99. What happens if there's a tiebreaker? We're going to go through, ask yourself this, count if, forget this other information because we just went through this. Now we're going to go count if H4, which is this information in column H and H4, name 240 is equal to 0. Now the count if, I'm just going to show you a quick example without a lot of detail. I went in and I just entered a tie for Arnon, just below Diane, and Diane is the second fastest. The way this works is we have the match, and the question is match 1, and then we have a lookup value. That's what we're looking for, lookup value, then a lookup array. If we hit F9, here we have 0, 0, 1, 1, 1. And whenever there's a 1, 1 next to each other, that means there's a tie. The way it works is match will grab the first row. In this case, it will be Diane. And it will default to the next score, which is 99. Excel will spit out the tie number. Why does it do this? Be sure to check out all of our Excel courses. Excel data and text manipulation. We have an advanced beginners and an intermediate course. Excel essentials. This is for individuals new to Excel. We have an advanced, excellent beginners, level 1 and level 2, and intermediate level course. Excel formulas, formulas only. We have a beginner, an advanced, and an intermediate level course. Click on any of the links. There's a short video that explains everything about the course. Check it out. The match will take the first row. I'll get into it later. That's just a quick overview of a tie and how you can handle ties. And you can use XLOOKUP to do the exact same thing. I'm going to leave this up to you because we've covered XLOOKUP. The criteria is the lookup value, same as always, the lookup array, and this is a little bit different. We always have to try to understand the layout. So here we have a lookup value. We have large right here, F5. Then we have score, which is our lookup array, and we have a return array. We have these optional features. Remember, XLOOKUP is looking for the lookup value, F5, which is 100, the large score, F5. The layout is a little different, but the logic is the same. When we're dealing with F5, we have this nth value. We reference it by the score, but here XLOOKUP looks at it a little bit different. It's taken large, it's going to compute itself. Instead of us doing it over here in G, XLOOKUP will find the score. What it's asking is, within this score, give me the highest number. Whereas here, we just asked large score 240 F5, similar layout, and then large score 240 F5. With XLOOKUP, we have a large score. We're trying to find what? Whoever has the highest score. We're using the array. We're going back here, lookup array. What are we trying to find? In score, we're trying to find the highest score. Then what are we doing? We're going to go to the lookup array, which would be score. You notice there's some redundancy here. Then the return, the name. Ultimately, we're looking for a name and the highest score. Brad Williams, XL Prime. See you soon.